Let's talk about the books that I've read in the first quarter of the year, January through March. I've only read 11 books in the first 3 months. Usually I read that per month, but I've been extremely busy this year. So I figured I would just film all these in one video. I started off the year with The Savage and the Swan. I rated this 2 stars. It was not a great start to the year. My problem with this book was that it moved so fast. Like, so fast. I'm definitely curious to know what the actual timeline of this book was because it felt like it talked about every single day of a whole year. We covered so many days. So I was pretty disappointed with this one. I've seen this around Book Talk and had high expectations. This next book I did not have high expectations for. It's called My Dad's Best Friend. Definitely just wanted a fun read after The Savage and the Swan, but I had to DNF. I listened to this on audio and that was definitely the problem. Hearing the narrator say daddy in a very monotone way was not it for me, and neither is the phrase daddy in the first place. So this was 1 star. I ended January on a super high note. I started the first book in the Unmarked duology, The Unmarked Witch, which was absolutely fantastic. I listened to this on audio. The narrator did such a spectacular job, and this book had me hooked from start to finish. I don't want to give anything away from this book. It was obviously about witches, but you should definitely go in blind. I had so much fun reading this. Then I dove right into the second book in the duology, which is The Unbound Witch, and it was just as fun. I rated this one 4 stars. Again, I listened to this on audio. I loved the narrator for this duology. I definitely think you should give it a shot. Moving on, I finished Iron Flame, which I had started in November, and I finished this in February. I rated that 4 stars. I still enjoyed it a lot. It just took me quite a long time to get through it. It was just a lot slower pacing than Fourth Wing, but it was still really good. And in my opinion, I think the cliffhanger from Fourth Wing was worse than Iron Flame. That's just my opinion, though. The next book I read was Eyes on Me, which is book 2 in the Salacious series. I rated this 3.75 stars. I had a great time, and it was just what I needed to cleanse my palate after Iron Flame. And then I finally got around, at the beginning of March, to reading the Caraval trilogy. I had had this on my TBR for probably 3 years. And I finally got to it, I finally picked it up. It was spectacular. Book 1, I rated 3.75. Book 2, I rated 4 stars. And book 3, I rated 5 stars. It's great when you can read a series and all of the books are 5 stars. But this is just as good because it just got better as it went on. This trilogy is so magical, and I loved every minute of it. The narrator, because I listened to all 3 of these on audio, the narrator did such a good job. To be honest, I really had low expectations going into this series. I didn't think it was going to be for me, so I was very surprised that I enjoyed it so much, and I can't wait to read Once Upon a Broken Heart. The most recent book that I read was about a week ago. I read A Fragile Enchantment, and I DNF'd at 26%. I had high expectations going into this because it was recommended to be like Bridgerton. I can see why some people could relate it to Bridgerton because it had Regency, but it had nothing to do with Bridgerton at all. And so I was just so bored. The main characters were so boring. They had no substance. The male main character was hot and cold, which made no sense. And I just wouldn't recommend it. So there you have it. Everything I've read so far in 2024, 11 books. It's it's been a pretty disappointing year so far, I'm not gonna lie, so hopefully it's up from here.